So today we're going to ask ourselves the question, are Pokemon cards actually a good investment? Now, that title is a little misleading. I'm going to go right ahead and say that, and go right ahead and say that there needs to be a lot more nuance when asking that question, because there is that much nuance that is deserved within the Pokemon TCG. So, in today's video, we'll talk about that. But before we do, let's roll that intro. Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we're going to be talking about this Screen Rant article. Found a few of them that were actually pretty good that I thought would be worth the discussion and the video, so I've been plowing through them and then setting them up to get posted onto the channel. Here's yet another one of those, and in today's video, and in today's article specifically, are Pokemon cards actually a good investment? So, the TCG has seen an explosion in popularity and value in 2022, but is the Pokemon TCG actually a good investment? Question mark? Well, in today's video, we'll figure that out. Now, as always, today's video is based on an article. I'll obviously provide my additional commentary as I read through and walk through some of the highlights of the article. The link to this article will be down below. Definitely feel free to go check it out yourself, because this video is not one where I simply read and narrate the article to you. The other thing is that if you like today's video, you should definitely leave a like on the video. It's the best way to help push it out to others and show some support to the channel. Of course, you can also subscribe to the Gengar Gang in order to join our happy little community. But with all that said, let's go ahead and jump right on into this article. So the article poses the question and then immediately kind of jumps into this idea of, value in 2022. And, collectors may be wondering if cards are actually a good investment that will pay off. Now, despite launching decades ago, there's been a revival in popularity, and that's primarily been driven by a lot of things, Logan Paul, record-breaking sales, and a pandemic that forced people to go back into their homes, hang out, and really kind of find things to keep them busy, such as, but not limited to, Pokemon cards. The other thing that becomes a very interesting thing is that a lot of the most valuable collectibles are from the older sets, and by older I mean certified vintage. But here's where I think this article starts to take a turn. The modern Pokemon trading card game has also been impacted by the booming market. New Sword and Shield expansion sold out instantly. It's been tough getting your stuff at Target and most major retailers, and yeah, even scalpers fighting over TCG products in stores. So despite the rising prices, the question of whether Pokemon cards are a good investment is a tricky one. Collectors looking to make big money will have a difficult time due to the sheer scarcity of retro TCG cards in the market. And then realistically, that mostly leaves fans with investments going to modern cards like Evolving Skies, Brilliant Stars. So below is a breakdown of recent Pokemon card prices in 2022 and a look at whether those cards are worth investing. Now, the first thing that I have to say as it relates to this article is that it's pretty demonstrably clear that this is going to be about modern Pokemon TCG investing. Now, SM Pratt did a video not that long ago where he really kind of broke down the fundamentals behind modern investment. And if I can attempt to summarize SM Pratt, which I know is dangerous territory, it basically comes down to you're investing in the popularity of a set, and you're going to have to wait a hot minute before you see any realized or real gain. One of the things that doesn't get spoken about as much as I think it should is the idea of opportunity cost. So, if you're really looking at this as a investment, right? This isn't a hobby. This isn't a fun thing to do on the side. This is a investment. You are entering this entirely for the purposes of making profit. Then you really have to take a hard look at what investing in modern Pokemon cards is going to do to your portfolio. This is not financial advice, nor am I advising anyone when I say this, but genuinely speaking, Pokemon cards should not be held for short-term profit. In any limited capacity, you can probably do better pound for pound, dollar for dollar elsewhere in literally any other quote-unquote actual investment opportunity, such as but not limited to crypto, NFTs or more traditional means like stocks, money market accounts, etc., etc. The genuine truth behind Pokemon, and this could be my nugget of wisdom for today's video, is that these are basically flat or stagnant investments as long as they are still in print. Then they only become quote-unquote appreciable assets once they go out of print, and assuming demand is high enough such that people want to buy these cards to open them up now that they are out of print. Up until that point in time, what you'll find is that the sales history for cards like this will generally stay flat. So as an example, Evolutions was a set that released in 2016. Back in 2019, I was purchasing those boxes for under MSRP. People were literally trying to get rid of cases of Evolutions for less than the manufacturer's recommended sale price. And what that meant is that you were picking up booster boxes for 90 bucks. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to pick one up for 400 bucks, but it's not a clear pathway where every year it went up $100 and over the course of 4 years it's now appreciated this much. It stayed flat for the majority of time and then randomly popped up once it became readily apparent that the set was in demand and was no longer being printed and no longer being manufactured. And I think that is the real gimmick here. So that's the one thing that you should bear in mind right away, is that if you're investing in modern Pokemon cards, you're going to be waiting for quite a while. And if you're not willing to do that, you're probably better off investing in a money market account or something of the sort, where at least you'll see a small percentage gain over the course of one calendar year, versus Pokemon, where your set value may actually decline if Pokemon chooses to print more of this stuff. And that's actually happened with me. I bought Shining Fates at pre-order prices that were very much above MSRP. Then it dropped during launch, then it shot back up, then they recently reprinted it and it shot down again. So depending on what point in time I would have been micromanaging my investments in Shining Fates, I may have been up a couple bucks or down a significant amount of money. Now, what's easily the most important thing to realize about that is at no point during the past, give or take 2 years when Shining Fates has been released, did I ever care about measuring my quote-unquote portfolio's performance. And genuinely speaking, any channel that tells you that you should be tracking modern Pokemon card investments like this, I personally feel is a bit too optimistic and too bullish on Pokemon cards, especially modern ones. And I think it's basically neurotic, because you cannot check the investments when there's very little to no actual growth that you expect to happen over the course of the 3 years after its release. Put it this way, if that Pokemon card set is within the current or previous generation, or is likely to be reprinted in one way, shape, or form, you shouldn't consider it an investment. If you buy it, hold it, and keep it, yeah, sure, it is a perfectly good, fun thing to do. Consider yourself a sealed collector. But don't call yourself a modern Pokemon investor, because that's a dangerous term that realistically doesn't really have many fundamental realities where it actually proves successful. We know for a fact that Pokemon's getting printed up the wazoo. Chilling Reign is down to like $3 a pack at best. And so there's a reasonable reality where many of these cards and many of these sets are being kept in really good condition, are being overly graded, are being preserved so much that even in the future, the behavior we've seen with quote-unquote more vintage Pokemon card sets won't be the exact same way that we see modern sets behave. So, you know, whereas I'm just making this up, but an EX Fire Red and Leaf Green box is a $20,000 box because it was such a great set, you really shouldn't ever expect Chilling Reign to even get close to that number for a variety of reasons. One reason is at no given point were there ever as many Fire Red and Leaf Green boxes as there were Chilling Reign boxes. The other thing is that if you're really looking at the quote-unquote secondary market on this stuff, there's a lot more graded cards, there's a lot more sealed product, there's a lot more of everything of that type of set or cards from that set, which means, again, there's just so many more options and variety. I do think we are liable to see a few things explode in value over the next couple years. I would think Pokemon Center exclusives, I would think very niche or particular oddball items may do very well in the long run. But again, no one should really sit here watching this video, and especially after watching this video, if you take my advice, and think, oh, well, in the next 5 years, I'm going to be able to retire because I bought bricks on bricks of Brilliant Stars. So with that said, let's jump on into this because I'm sure I'm going to get more of a headache as we keep reading. So Pokemon Brilliant Stars. It was the first TCG expansion to release in 22. It had V-Star Pokemon. It was a hit with collectors, factual, due to containing a handful of rare cards that are highly sought after. So you had things like the alternate art card, which, wow, sold for $680 as a PSA 10 grade. When Brilliant Stars launched in February, you could pick up the card for about $230. While that's almost 3 times its original value, the Charizard only fetches the high grade if it's determined to be in perfect condition with the grading company, not factual, just needs to be in PSA 10 condition. A PSA 9 has only sold in the 300 range, which isn't that great of an investment. Now, the thing is that I don't understand what's going on here. So you're telling me you can get 680 for a 10, you can get 300 for a 9. If you bought the card for, you know, $230 plus a $50 grading fee, I'm just making that up, you know, you're close to breaking even if you get a PSA 9. But again, this is the real trick with modern investments, is that most times, especially if you're looking at things within the very limited time window, right? Like this article was released 2 days ago, so I can assume that we're looking from the time of February 2022 to May 2022. You're talking about 3 months. The only value additive that you've added to this equation is getting the card graded, which, by the way, in February was still a $150 investment if you wanted to go the PSA route, I believe. And so, all things considered, you were talking about $230 plus a $150 grade, so that now brings you up to $480 if I'm doing $380 if I'm doing my math right. And you're telling me a PSA 9 sells for $300, a PSA 10 sells for $680. There is a lot of upside if you're very good about identifying potential PSA 10 candidates, but you still run the risk of being short $80 if at any point you make a mistake or several mistakes, and you can see where that starts costing you a significant amount of money. Now, all that said, you're really going to go through all that effort and take that much risk for 3 months worth of effort? My argument has always been this. I try my very best not to grade too many modern Pokemon cards. I only grade stuff that I think is cool, I think is neat. Something like the Blaziken Alt Art VMAX, you know, if I got my hands on a few, I'd grade them, because I like Blaziken. However, at no given point am I looking at any of these cards and thinking to myself, ooh, well, what am I going to materialize money on? Notice that many of my PSA graded returns are stupid vintage, and when I say stupid vintage, I mean EX era and previous. I may start doing a little bit more of Generation 4, maybe even Generation 5, depending on the case, but for the most part, I grade those cards more for fun and more for my own collection. Anything Generations 1, 2, and 3, that's where I really try to grade for the purposes of investment, because as I've clearly demonstrated, 5-figure paydays are brainless activity with vintage cards. That's an investment because you're multiplying your money 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. However, in a situation like this, you know, you run the risk of an $80 loss. You might make a $300 profit, and that's if it grades a PSA 10. So, case in point, modern Pokemon card investments cannot be looked at in the short run. 3 months is too short of a time frame for you to hope that you're going to turn any money. And while grading Pokemon cards to make money is something that some people engage in as a regular profit venture, you know, it's not always exactly as easy as it's made out to be. It's a lot easier with vintage because any vintage card at a low enough graded price is probably going to make you a profit. In the modern space, with the current prices for grading TCG cards, terrible investment. I personally wouldn't take this on because the potential to lose $80, to me at least, is probably more than the potential to, you know, get a PSA 10. It sounds like it would be pretty cool to do, but again, it's so much money, you're going to get lost in all the mojo, and you better hope that multiple cards come back a PSA 10 if you're trying to get an actual worthwhile return on investment. Next up is Fusion Strike. So compared to other TCG sets, it isn't as popular due to lacking popular cards that fans desperately wanted. One of the set's biggest pulls is the VMAX Espeon and its stunning alternate art, very cute card. In November, you were able to snatch the card up for about $110 ungraded. Over half a year later, the PSA 10 fetches about $430. Like the rare Charizard, the price drops dramatically under $200 in a PSA 9, making the grade lower and making it another tough investment. So now that we have 2 points to stand on, I think with the pattern that I'm starting to see here is that they're trying to point out the rarest pull in the set and then tell you what the 9 and the 10 are. And then, you know, basically tell you like, oh, hey, you can get it graded and then you'll make money, right? Here's the thing. Again, 110 graded, let's add $150 to that. So now you're at $260 to get the card graded. There is a good chance you will lose $60 if you get a PSA 9. There is a semi-decent chance that you'll make 40 and, you know, you'll get like 200 or something bucks. The math will be on screen, and that'll be your saving grace. So, you know, what they don't tell you here is that it's another tough investment. Yeah, like, I can't imagine why it would be. Again, even the queue to get into the PSA graded space right now is stupid. So again, why would you ever, at any given point, go through the effort of doing something like this? What is funny is that I think you can now probably scoop up a few of these alternate arts, submit them in the, and you can do this rightfully, in the economy section for PSA. I think that would be very powerful actually though, because those only cost $50. So let's just pretend you're paying $110 to buy the card, $50 to get it graded. You're now looking at $160, and hopefully all you have to do is wait the, I think, same amount of time, like 9 months or so, and you'll get your cards back, and technically even a PSA 9 will give you a pretty decent profit, something in the range of $30 on a modern card. And again, you really have to look at this from the perspective of what you're spending and what you're doing, right? You have to spend $160 on a card to get it graded, right? That $160 won't come back to you and won't materialize to you until 9 months from now. So today is May 11th. And so, you know, when I'm recording this video, and you're telling me it's going to come back February of 2023. So in the course of the next 9 months, I'll have that $160 tied up. Hopefully, prices stay the same for a modern card, which is pretty much on par. So now we're talking about a $200 price tag if I sold it on eBay. eBay is going to take 10% of that, so I'm down to $180. I already spent $160, so now I'm making $20 in profit after 9 months. See my point? Nothing here should be planned out in the short run. Finally but not least is Evolving Skies. Oh no, there's two. Oh boy. Evolving Skies, yeah, same concept. You could pick up a Rayquaza Alt-Art VMAX for $200. The card has since gone up to $400 to $500 on auction sites such as eBay. And then particularly, this is the one that has some very tough pull rates, as well as, but not limited to, some incredibly pain in the neck just set availability. So this is one of the sets where obviously we can expect it to be a little tough to get your hands on these cards. This was actually a fairly decent investment for a different reason. If you bought this when it came out at launch, even at above, retailer pricing, you're probably turning a profit right now just because of the sheer shortage of Evolving Skies booster boxes that exist. I did a video about the Umbreon that a lot of people seem to like, and that seems to be the pretty consistent story, is that, you could have had diamond hands by accident, but that's the thing. You can never plan these things out. You can never know what's going to happen next. And so you really do just have to get lucky. And even then, you don't want your investments to be purely based off of luck. Next up, and oh no, they're still going. Next up is Shining Fates. You've got obviously the modern Charizard. You could get the card for about $300. It can now be picked up for about $130. Yikes. Interestingly, they lost some of their value, so going down from $400 to $380. And while it's not a massive drop, it's still not a financial gain either. Charizard tends to be one of the TCG's most popular Pokemon, and so the Shiny VMAX could be worth a lot of money years from now. I think that's the main takeaway from an article like this, right? And this video, hopefully, is that you need to think about things in the long run. You cannot think about these things as a short-term investment. I would equate them very much to something like a CD account, where you put your money away for 5-6 years, and you hope that you'll get an accelerated amount of profit or a more beneficial interest rate as a result of having locked away your stuff for about 5 years. Finally but not least, Pokemon XY Evolutions, I hope. Evolutions is interesting. We spoke about it already, right? So even up till 2019, exactly what I was telling you guys about, you could pick these up for about $80 to $100. They went all the way up to $800, and I believe they might have even hit $1,000. And now you're starting to see some painful evidence of like a little bit of a decline. All things considered, with the price of this set seemingly continue to go up, the 2016 expansion has been a good lesson about how even modern TCG sets can eventually become a great investment over time. Here's where I start agreeing with this article, because they're finally starting to use the right terminology. Eventually, it will become a great investment. And why is that? Well, because it's the next best thing due to the retro card scarcity. So this is a very good combination of phrasing. You're looking at popularity of the set, you're comparing it to the wide, almost borderline crazy amount of printing they did for Evolutions. And then you're stopping and you're thinking, hey, it's a popular set, I'm going to pick it up. Sit on it, wait a few years. Brainlessly wait, and all of a sudden that $600 case that you picked up at near distributor pricing has become a very fun and very popular set to open up, meaning it gives you tons of opportunity to finally invest in something that will make you a little bit of money, which I think is pretty cool. So are Pokemon cards as value as they seem? You can go ahead and read out what's on screen or pause it, but personally, yes, they are as valuable as they seem. Many of these modern sets have very good fundamentals. Whether it be the alternate arts, the scarcity, the rarity, there's a very good storm brewing, I think, for the long run. If you pick up a bunch of these alternate art sets, I'm going to start calling them, so any of the Sword and Shield sets that have alt arts, probably starting with battle styles and going through till, the Astral Radiance and presumably onward, I think one of the really cool things here is that a lot of these sets have a lot of cool alternate arts, kind of tough to pull. It makes for a very good and very compelling story. I think even though something like Chilling Reign or Battle Styles wasn't the most popular set, what is interesting about those sets is that they contain alternate arts that will probably be highly sought after in the future, purely because of the popularity of the other alternate art sets like Brilliant Stars and like Evolving Skies. So it creates a very good opportunity for some, investability, right? But as I said at the beginning of this video, you really can't think of it as a portfolio that you manage on a day-to-day. You shouldn't be day trading modern Pokemon cards, is another way of trying to get that point across to you. Mostly, you want to buy this stuff and forget you own it. More importantly, you want to put it somewhere safe, put it somewhere climate controlled, and quite literally leave it there for a decade. I promise you, if you do that, you'll probably be surprised at the amount of value that has grown over the past 10 years. However, if you're the type of person who needs to check in on each of those 10 years or each day in those 10 years to see what the price is, you're probably going to get very exhausted very quickly, and you're really not going to see much change in the next 5 to 6 years. These sets are being printed at a very high volume, these sets are being consumed at a very high volume, and there's a lot of stuff going on that indicates, to me at least, that you really don't want to come to Modern with any type of investor mindset in your head, because genuinely, that's not what it's about. It's about playing the game, it's about opening the cards, it's about enjoying. The reason many of the cards we see from back in the day go for the prices we do is purely based off nostalgia, and I think with time, nostalgia will help to drive these prices more naturally upward and more naturally based on the fundamentals of, hey, I remember opening this set in 2022. However, right now, not a lot of that is happening. For the most part, you could go online, you can go in store, you could pick up some of the stuff and open it yourself. So anyone trying to sell you on nostalgia is clearly making it up, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that to naturally and organically develop such that modern Pokemon cards can actually be a worthwhile investment. But with all that said, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. Bit of a longer one today, but modern Pokemon is modern Pokemon, and it deserves to be spoken about because of the many misconceptions that many people have about it. So, with all that said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, definitely feel free to leave a like, and hey, if you're not already, consider subscribing. You made it all the way through to the video, my voice doesn't annoy you yet, you should probably stick around for a little bit longer. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and we will talk soon. Peace.